Hey, good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox, and today I want to talk about getting a job, right? Truth in advertising. I spent 20 years in the military, served 20 years in the military, and for that I get a pension, right? And so, that makes me a little bit different than most of y'all. However, it's a good pension. I like it. It was a choice my wife and I made to do what we did to get to this point, which then allows us some freedom of movement. But it's not a great pension. My retired stepfather-in-law, retired from the Long Island Electric Company. He gets a really good pension. It's not even half, my pension is not even half of what New York City firefighters and policemen get when they retire, right? All right, but hey, it is out there. But I'm surrounded by people who don't have any pension. I'm surrounded by people younger than me in their 30s or late 20s and stuff, with families, that have to bring in the money. And so I get it, right? I think I do. And here's the other thing, I talk a lot, excuse me, I talk a lot about moving to the country. Come out of her, my people. I come out of Babylon, move away from the population centers. It's almost too late to do that. In a lot of ways, I am a voice of one crying in the wilderness. Come out, come out. If you want the other aspect of me, of the pastor part of Pastor Joe, you can go to Shofar Mountain, the YouTube channel Shofar Mountain. You can see that. But yeah, I tell people to come out. And a problem that a lot of people bring up is, hey, Pastor Joe, I got to make some money. I can't get a job out there. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about a little bit today. Somebody wrote in a comment on one of my videos recently, and I felt sad for him, and I felt a little angry too, at the attitude was, I tried, and no one will give me a job. With an attitude like that, young man, I wouldn't either. Because you see, it's not my job, it's not my duty, it's not my responsibility to give you a job. It's your job to get a job, right? To earn a job. Even if it's flipping burgers at McDonald's, 8 people apply for 2 jobs, the manager is going to pick the 2 best people, right? He's not giving away jobs, he's selecting the best candidates for the job. Everybody does that. I have 3 kids, one's still in college, 2 are out. Nobody gives them a job, they've got to go get a job, right? And so that's one thing, is some of us have to change our mentality. I learned a new term on the internet about a year ago, the give me dats, right? Gimme, 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 gimme. Well, that's a terrible attitude, and if you have that attitude, you're lost, and you need to change your attitude. No one's going to give you anything. So there's that. So I do get that you need money, all right? In today's economy, the world hasn't ended yet. You're not just going to go hoe radishes with an AR on your back. You've got to go earn some money. I submit you could probably get by on less money than you're making, by cutting expenses and things. And if you're already at bare bones, good for you. But a lot of us could do without a lot of things. All right, so, I've got responsibilities. I have a wife. I have 2 little kids, I need to make some money, so I can't move to the country, Pastor Joe, because, this is the only place where there's a job. There's no jobs in the country. That's not true. There are jobs in the country. There's just no dudes or dudettes out there who are giving away jobs in the country. But people work. It's not like people sit on their porch all day long out in the country and chew on a hay stalk. There's no jobs. I'll just use my EBTB card or whatever it's called. People work out there. But you know what? They don't get a job, they make a job. And they make a couple different jobs. My neighbor is pretty poor, and he has a little plot of land. And he has, 15 heads of cattle on it, cows. And he has 1 bull and a bunch of heifers, and they breed, and he has calves. He sells some pretty soon, he sells some later, and he goes someplace that he's figured out where he can get like day-old produce or something for free, and he feeds them that to supplement their feed. He just kind of make ends meet. People tinker on things. It's like, got a guy down the road who works construction a lot of times, but the other thing he does is my 4-wheeler went down and had to have a peg welded on it, and I don't have a welding setup, and so he did that. And actually, he didn't charge us for money because he likes us, but he charges other people money for doing little things like that. People have a couple part-time jobs and things like that, and then they grow. Everybody's got gardens, that reduces your food bill, because you're not only trying to make money, you're trying to reduce your other bills, and you come to this little happy medium of independence in the country, right? But think about that. People make jobs out in the country. Consider illegal aliens, undocumented migrant workers, whatever you want to call them. I had this house was redone, insurance thing. And so my insurance company contacted a contractor who then subcontracted all these different jobs, put new drywall up, redo the electric lines, paint, da, 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 da. About, I don't know, 5 or 6 different crews came in here. They were all illegal aliens. They were all getting paid. And they all liked their jobs. I'm going to do another video on that later. But they went out and they worked, right? And they did stuff for their money so that they could buy food for their family and rent a place to live and that kind of thing. You can do that, and that's what people do in the country. There are some really good jobs in the country, but there's a lot of competition for them. But where I live in the Ozarks, there's Lazy Boy has a huge facility where they're constantly hiring people. There's a big pipe building place, where they build long plastic pipes and stuff. And then there's architects and there's engineers and, there's the whole Northwest Arkansas corridor of everything you want, money making job kind of things. And so, there are jobs out there, but the thing is, you're going to have to make it work. No one's going to give you a job. And so I guess what I'm telling you is reduce your expectations and, your needs, your money, and then figure out what you're going to do to work. Now, here's something else to think about. In economics, if I'm a product factory thing business owner, my whole goal is to sell my product as high as I can get it and pay my workers the least amount, right? That makes the most money. That's like basic economics. And many American workers are getting replaced either by overseas, like the businesses are going overseas. Like I don't think there's a shirt factory in America anymore. They're just made in China and Bangladesh and Vietnam or whatever. So many jobs are going overseas because American workers are paid too much money for what they do. Minimum wage. Everyone says, minimum wage, $15. The minute you make minimum wage $15, the price of a Happy Meal is going to $15, and everything else is going up. And therefore, your $15 an hour now isn't going to do you any good, right? Gas will go up because of it. I mean, it's just, it's a silly thing. And then we have laws in this country about how little you can't pay somebody. And I just read something on the internet, and I've seen this with my own eyes, in third world countries, when they tear down a building and you've got all the bricks with the old mortar on it, they pay people, poor people, to sit there with a hammer and chip off the old cement off this brick, kind of clean this brick up and put it over here. We're going to reuse it. In America, they don't do that because it's not worth what I have to pay somebody at minimum wage to have them do that. And so we just haul these bricks to the landfill and we buy new bricks. All right, well, if they didn't have that job, somebody could sit there and make a little bit of money during the day. Pastor Fox, you're trying to turn us into a third world country. No, I'm not. I'm trying to tell you about getting a job and getting some money and being able to move out into the country. I'm just showing you things that are going on. Raising the minimum wage doesn't do it. Minimum wage was never intended. A minimum wage job was never intended to be a bread earner job, right? You got to get a better job, make a better job, or something like that. And so jobs are going overseas or they are getting replaced. McDonald's workers are protesting or were for $15 an hour. How long? I mean, dude, you can make a robot that flips burgers. Beep, beep, makes a hamburger, right? It'll make a better hamburger and it won't give you hassle and it won't have a cold and it won't have attitude at work, da 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 da, and the thing just works, right? Those jobs are going to get automated. Many jobs in America are going to get automated. And so you got to get out of those jobs and get yourself a job before your job either goes overseas or gets automated if you have one. And so I told you about creating a job, right? Thinking about things, maybe doing a couple little things to bring in the dinero. Another thing to think about is this. We have very few craftsmen in America today. And, you want to buy a piece of furniture today, you're either going to spend $1 bazillion and get something that's still not that great, or you're going to spend regular people money and the thing's going to fall apart in 2 years, right? And it's just, try and buy clothes. There's the regular man clothes and then there's the good clothes. the rich are getting richer in America and the poor are getting poorer. That's by design. They're trying to get rid of the middle class. With the middle class comes democracy because people want to vote, right? And it's like, all right, if we go to the haves and the have-nots, it's kind of like the knights, the lords, and the ladies, and the serfs. And I think that's what they're trying to go to, which is kind of a tangent there. But think about craftsmen, right? What if you had a glass blowing setup, where you blew, if you don't know what glass blowing is, I guess some people don't. A school one of my daughters went to is, I think, the only school in America that teaches glass blowing as a major, right? And basically you have a big kiln thing and you heat up glass, sand, you make it into glass, it turns into this molten thing, it's on the end of a pipe and you blow it and it goes whoosh, and it makes bottles. That's how they used to make bottles and jars and cans and everything back in the day before automation in factories and stuff. And what if you built yourself a glass blowing thing, right? And you learned how to do that, and you made handmade artisan glass. Right now on the internet, because you've got to do business on the internet. If you think you're going to open up a brick and mortar store and compete with anybody, you're not. So, but on the internet, you could sell hand blown glass bottles and vases and stuff like that for good money, right? To the haves. But they would buy this stuff. And then when the balloon goes up and there's no internet and there's, no one is buying your wares, hey, everyone in your little community or your little village or your little town will have really good glassware, and maybe you're trading, a set of glasses for 2 dozen eggs or something, and you go back to a barter type economy. But you're providing value and worth. You're really doing something that's worthwhile that people can't or won't do for themselves. And that's what you have to look at. What can I provide that somebody either will pay me to do? That person who's paying you to do it has to have excess, right, of something, whether that's eggs or money, or that they need but they can't do it themselves. And so that you have to find a niche there to do that. People who do like the niche gardening, they figure out that the high-end restaurants within 2 hours of where they're living demand organic basil. So they grow the heck out of basil and they sell little packs of basil right directly to the restaurants, right? And for good money. Okay, well, when the balloon goes up and there's no more restaurants, I guess, you open your own restaurant. I don't know. But it's something to think about. What I guess the whole purpose of this video is start thinking about jobs differently. If you have a job now, you should definitely have a plan B, C, D, and E, for what you're going to do when your job goes away. And when it goes away, it'll probably do it quickly, right? No one's going to tell you, probably 18 months from now, we're going to downsize. It'll just happen on a Monday, right? And you're done. Having a year's supply of food is a nice hedge against losing your job. But start thinking now about how you can not be dependent on the man, how you can be dependent on yourself, self-sufficient in your job. Start thinking about what you can do, where you can do it, and maybe I'll see you out there.